Stop the car. That looks strange. Oh no, these kids look unwell. Let me help you, dear.
Once upon a time, in the bustling heart of Lekki Phase 1, there lived a man named Daniel Okkoy. He was the kind of man who commanded attention without saying a word. Tall, dark-skinned, with a sharp jawline and eyes that seemed to see through people's masks. Daniel always wore tailored Italian suits and drove cars that cost more than most people's houses. He lived in a glass penthouse overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, surrounded by security systems, imported furniture, and a silence that money could buy but never feel. People said he was ruthless. They said he built his tech empire by crushing competitors and that he trusted no one. But that wasn't entirely true. Daniel had once trusted someone completely, his younger sister, Chioma. She had been his only family after their parents died in a car accident 15 years ago. But Chioma had disappeared 3 years back without a trace, leaving only a note that said, "I'm sorry, don't look for me." Since then, Daniel worked, invested, and came home to emptiness. He had money, power, and influence, but he had no one to share it with. One humid Tuesday afternoon, Daniel sat in the back of his silver Mercedes Maybach, stuck in traffic on Admiralty Way. His driver, Emeka, tapped his steering wheel nervously. "Oga, should I take the side road through Morocco? This hold-up fit reach midnight?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He was staring at his laptop, reading through acquisition reports. Then he looked up and noticed something outside the tinted window. "Wait," he said quietly. Emeka stopped talking. "That woman there, by the drainage." Emeka squinted. "Which one, sir?" "The one sitting under the mango tree, with the children." Emeka turned and saw her, a woman in torn clothes, barefoot, cradling 2 tiny babies wrapped in faded cloth. Her hair was matted. Her face was gaunt. But even from a distance, there was something about her posture, the way she held those children, that didn't look like a typical beggar. "Oga, na street people, sir. Them they use pikin for beg for this area. Some of them even rent." "Stop the car," Daniel said sharply. "Sir? I said stop." The car pulled over. Daniel opened the door before Emeka could rush out to do it for him. The heat hit his face immediately, but he didn't care. He walked straight toward the woman. She looked up when his shadow fell over her. Her eyes were dull, exhausted, but then something flickered in them. Recognition? Fear? Daniel couldn't tell. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low but firm. She didn't answer, just tightened her grip on the babies. Daniel crouched slightly, ignoring the dust on his shoes. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to know, are those children yours?" She nodded slowly. "Where is their father?" Her lips trembled. Then she whispered, "Dead." Daniel studied her face. There was something familiar about her, something in the shape of her eyes, the curve of her cheekbones. His chest tightened. "What's your name?" She hesitated. Then, barely audible, "Zanab." The world seemed to stop. Daniel's breath caught. His mind raced back to 3 years ago. Chioma had mentioned a friend once, a Muslim girl from the north who had come to Lagos for university. A girl named Zanab. But Chioma had never introduced them. And then Chioma vanished. "Zanab who?" he pressed. She looked away. One of the babies started crying. A weak, tired cry. The other one stared, but didn't open his eyes. Daniel stood up. His heart was pounding. He turned to Emeka. "Bring them to the car." "Oga, now." Emeka hesitated, then moved forward. Zanab pulled back, panic in her eyes. "No, please don't take them." Daniel raised a hand gently. "I'm not taking them. You are coming with us, all 3 of you." She stared at him, confusion and fear mixing on her face. "I promise," Daniel said softer now. "No police, no harm, just come." Slowly, carefully, Zanab stood. She was shaking. Emeka helped her into the car, holding an umbrella over her head, even though the sun was already setting. Inside the Maybach, the air conditioning hummed. The baby stopped crying almost immediately. Zanab sat stiffly, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal. Daniel sat across from her, saying nothing. Emeka drove in silence. Daniel couldn't stop staring at the babies. They were identical, twin boys, maybe 6 or 7 months old. Their skin was light brown, their hair was soft and curly, but it was their eyes that held him. Even in sleep, there was something familiar about them. The car turned into Daniel's estate. The tall gates opened automatically. Zanab's mouth fell open as the glass penthouse came into view, gleaming against the evening sky. "You live here?" she whispered. Daniel didn't answer. He was already thinking 10 steps ahead. When the car stopped, he stepped out first. "Emeka, call Dr. Namdi. Tell him it's urgent." "Yes, sir." Inside, the penthouse was cool and pristine. White marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Zanab stood frozen at the entrance, clutching the babies. Daniel gestured to the couch. "Sit." She obeyed, moving like she was afraid to touch anything. He walked to the kitchen and returned with a bottle of water. He handed it to her. She drank like she hadn't seen water in days. "When did you last eat?" he asked. She didn't answer. Daniel picked up his phone and called his housekeeper, Mrs. Adeyemi. "Prepare food, enough for 3, and bring clean clothes, women's clothes, something simple. Also, baby supplies, everything. I don't care if you have to go to the store now." He hung up and turned back to Zanab. "The babies, what are their names?" She looked down at them. "Malik and Musa." "How old?" 7 months. Daniel sat across from her, leaning forward. "Zanab, I need you to tell me the truth. Do you know someone named Chioma Okkoy?" Zanab's face went pale. The bottle slipped from her hand. "I'll take that as a yes," Daniel said quietly. Tears filled her eyes. "Please don't." "Don't what?" His voice was sharp now. "Don't ask questions. Don't try to find out why a woman who might know my missing sister is sitting on the street with twin babies." She broke down, sobbing. Daniel's jaw tightened. He stood and walked to the window, his hands clenched behind his back. A few minutes later, Dr. Namdi arrived, a calm, middle-aged man with silver-rimmed glasses. He examined the babies carefully, checking their breathing, their weight, their reflexes. "They are severely malnourished," he said finally. "Dehydrated too, but they will survive if they get proper care. Start treatment, whatever they need." The doctor nodded and began setting up an IV drip for the babies. Zanab watched everything in silence, tears still streaming down her face. That night, Zanab was given a warm bath, clean clothes and a hot meal. She ate slowly, like she'd forgotten what real food tasted like. The babies were placed in a makeshift crib in one of the guest rooms, monitored by Dr. Namdi. Daniel stood outside the room, watching through the glass door. His mind was racing. Why was Zanab on the street? How did she know Chioma? And why did those babies feel so familiar? He pulled out his phone and called his private investigator, a man named Kunle. "I need a background check. Woman named Zanab, early 30s, possibly from the north, connected to my sister." "How soon do you need it?" "Yesterday." He hung up and walked to his study. He opened a locked drawer and pulled out a file. Chioma's disappearance report. He'd read it 1,000 times, but tonight he read it again, searching for clues he might have missed. Chioma had last been seen at a hospital in Ikeja. She told a neighbor she was visiting a friend, but no one knew who. And after that day, she was gone. He closed the file and stared at the ceiling. "Who are you, Zanab? And what do you know about my sister?" The next morning,
Daniel found Zanab sitting on the floor beside the baby's crib. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were red and swollen. "They are stable," he said from the doorway. She looked up. "Thank you." He walked in and sat on the edge of the bed. "We need to talk." She nodded. "How do you know Chioma?" Zanab's lips trembled. Then she said, "She was my friend, my only friend." "Where is she?" Zanab closed her eyes. She's gone." Daniel's heart stopped. "Gone? You mean dead?" Zanab whispered. "She died 3 years ago, giving birth." The room spun. Daniel gripped the edge of the bed to steady himself. "What?" His voice cracked. Zanab covered her face with her hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told someone. But she made me promise. She said you couldn't know." Daniel stood abruptly, pacing. "Why? Why couldn't I know?" "Because," Zanab hesitated, "because the babies are hers." Time stopped. Daniel turned slowly. "What did you just say?" Zanab looked at the sleeping twins. "Malik and Musa. They are Chioma's sons." Daniel's knees buckled. He sat down hard, his mind refusing to process the words. "That's impossible," he said. "Chioma wasn't pregnant. She couldn't have been." She hid it. She was terrified. The father, he didn't want anything to do with her. He was married, older, powerful. When she told him, he threatened her, said he would ruin her life if she ever told anyone. Daniel's fist clenched. "Who was he?" "I don't know his name. She never told me. She just said he was dangerous."
Tears rolled down Daniel's face. His sister, his baby's sister, had suffered alone, died alone, and he never knew. "Why didn't you come to me?" he said, his voice breaking. "She made me swear," Zanab said. "She said you'd try to fight for her, and she didn't want you to get hurt. So she made me promise to take the babies and disappear." "And you've been on the streets for 3 years?" Zanab nodded. "I tried to work, but no one would hire me with twin babies. I lost my room, lost everything. I thought it was better than going back north, where my family disowned me for helping her." Daniel buried his face in his hands. After a long silence, he stood. "Get some rest. We'll talk more later." He walked out, his world crumbling. That afternoon, Daniel sat in his study and called Kunle again. "I need you to find out who Chioma was involved with before she disappeared. Check hospital records, phone logs, everything. On it." Daniel hung up and stared at the picture of Chioma on his desk. She was smiling, young, hopeful. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there," he whispered. A few days later, Kunle called back. "Boss, I found something. Chioma visited a private hospital in Ikeja multiple times before she disappeared. I pulled the records. She was seeing a Dr. Taiwo Adeleke." "A doctor?" "Yeah, but here's the thing. He wasn't treating her. He was listed as the father on a consent form for emergency surgery. She had complications during delivery. The surgery failed. She died from hemorrhaging." Daniel's blood ran cold. "Find him." "Already did. He's still practicing. Big hospital in Victoria Island. Married, 3 kids, respected in the community." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Send me everything." That night, Daniel confronted Zanab again. "The father's name, was it Taiwo?" Her eyes widened. "How did you—" "Just answer." She nodded slowly. "Yes, Dr. Taiwo Adeleke." Daniel stood and walked to the window, staring out at the ocean. "He killed her," he said quietly. "He let her die rather than risk his reputation." Zanab said nothing.
Daniel turned. I'm going to destroy him. Please, don't. Chioma wouldn't want. Chioma is dead, Daniel shouted. Because of him. The babies woke up crying. Zanab rushed to comfort them. Daniel left the room, his heart full of rage. But over the next few weeks, something changed. Daniel watched Zanab care for the twins. He saw how gently she held them, how she sang to them in Hausa, and how she smiled when they laughed. He saw his sister in them, their eyes, their smiles, the way Malik tilted his head when he was curious. And slowly, the rage began to fade. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Daniel sat with Zanab on the balcony. The twins were asleep inside, their soft breathing audible through the baby monitor on the table between them. The ocean breeze was cool, carrying with it the scent of salt and something that felt like possibility. "Why did you stay?" Daniel asked, his voice quiet, almost lost in the sound of the waves below. Zanab was silent for a moment. She stared out at the darkening water, her fingers wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. "They are all I have left of her. She was the only person who ever treated me like family. When my own parents disowned me for not marrying the man they chose, when I had nowhere to go, she opened her door. She shared her food, her room, her life with me." She paused, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "When she got pregnant and was terrified, I held her hand. When she went into labor and there were complications, I was the one in the waiting room praying. And when the doctor came out and said she didn't make it..." Zainab's voice broke. "I promised her spirit that I would protect her sons, that I would never abandon them the way the world abandoned her." Daniel felt something crack open in his chest. He had spent 3 years angry at Chioma for leaving, for not trusting him enough to tell him she was in trouble. But now he understood. She hadn't been running from him. She was trying to protect him. "I understand," he said, his own voice thick with emotion. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore. Then Daniel cleared his throat. "I want to adopt them, legally. Give them my name, my protection, everything I have." Zainab's head snapped toward him, her eyes wide with shock. "But," he continued, meeting her gaze steadily, "only if you stay. They need you, Zanab. You're the only mother they've ever known." And honestly, he paused, vulnerability flickering across his usually guarded face. "I need you too. You're the last connection I have to my sister. You knew her in ways I never did. You were there when I wasn't."
Tears spilled down Zainab's cheeks. She set down her mug with trembling hands and covered her face, her shoulders shaking with the force of her sobs. "You mean it?" she managed between gasps. "You are not going to send us away?" "Never," Daniel said firmly. He reached over and gently pulled her hands away from her face, holding them in his own. "You are family now, all 3 of you." Zainab broke down completely then, years of fear and grief and exhaustion pouring out of her. Daniel did not let go. He just held her hands and let her cry, understanding that some wounds needed tears to heal. 3 months later, Daniel stood in a courtroom, his heart pounding as the judge reviewed the adoption papers. Zanab sat beside him, dressed in a simple but elegant navy dress that Mrs. Adeyemi had helped her pick out. The twins, now 10 months old and much healthier, sat in a double stroller between them, babbling happily to each other. "Mr. Okkoy," the judge said, looking up from the documents, "this is highly unusual. You are a single man adopting twin boys, and the biological mother is deceased. Can you explain to the court why you believe this is in the best interest of these children? Daniel stood, his voice steady and clear. Your Honor, these boys are my nephews. My sister, Chioma Okkoy, died giving birth to them. She was alone, scared, and I wasn't there to protect her. That's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. He glanced down at the twins, his expression softening. But I can be there for them now. I can give them a home and education, stability and love. And they won't be raised by me alone. Zanab, who has been their primary caregiver since birth, will continue to be part of their lives. She knew my sister. She can tell them stories about their mother that I never could. The judge studied him for a long moment, then looked at Zanab. Miss Zanab, do you support this adoption? Zanab stood, her voice surprisingly strong. Yes, Your Honor. Daniel is a good man. He's given us a home when we had nothing. He's treated she corrected herself, Chioma's sons like they were his own from the very first day. I believe this is what Chioma would have wanted. The judge nodded slowly, then picked up his pen. Very well. I hereby grant the petition for adoption. Malik and Musa Okkoy are now legally your sons, Mr. Okkoy. Congratulations. The gavel struck, and Daniel felt his knees go weak with relief. Zanab grabbed his arm, tears streaming down her face, but this time they were tears of joy. As they walked out of the courthouse into the bright Lagos sunshine, Daniel looked down at the twins in their stroller. Malik was chewing on a teething ring, and Musa was reaching up toward the sky, his small hand opening and closing as if trying to catch the sunlight. Your mother was a hero, Daniel said softly, crouching down to their level. You gave everything to bring you into this world, and I promise you I'll make sure you never forget her. Zanab knelt beside him, placing a hand on each baby's head. She'd be so proud of you, Daniel. Thank you for loving them. Thank you for saving them, he replied. As they loaded the twins into the car, Daniel's phone buzzed. It was a message from Kunle. Dr. Taiwo Adeleke has been reported to the medical board for falsifying patient records and medical negligence. Anonymous tip. His license is under review. Might lose his practice. Daniel read the message twice, then deleted it. He looked up at the sky, imagining his sister somewhere watching. Justice doesn't have to be loud, Chioma. Sometimes it's enough to know that the truth came out. He climbed into the car, where Zanab was already buckling the twins into their car seats. She looked up at him with a questioning expression. Everything okay? Everything's perfect, he said, and meant it. 5 years later, Daniel stood at the exact same spot on Admiralty Way where he'd first seen Zanab and the twins. The traffic was just as bad, the heat just as oppressive, but everything else had changed. Malik and Musa, now 5 years old and full of energy, sat in the back seat of the Maybach, arguing good-naturedly about which superhero was the strongest. Daddy, why did we stop here? Malik asked, pressing his face against the window. Daniel smiled, his eyes distant with memory. Just remembering something important. Zanab, who now sat in the front passenger seat, reached over and squeezed his hand. She was different too, healthier, confident, her eyes bright with life. She'd gone back to school, finished her degree in education, and now volunteered at a women's shelter, helping other single mothers. Thank you, she said quietly, so that the boys wouldn't hear. For what? For seeing me that day, for stopping when everyone else just drove past. Daniel squeezed her hand back. You saved them, Zanab. I just gave you all a place to heal. We healed each other, she corrected gently. In the rearview mirror, Daniel watched his sons, his sister's sons,
laughing and playing, completely unaware of the miracle of their existence, of how close they'd come to a very different life. Rest well, Chioma. I've got them, I promise. As Emeka pulled back into traffic, Daniel glanced one last time at the spot under the mango tree where his entire world had changed, where a chance encounter had transformed into a family, where mercy had triumphed over bitterness, where love had proved stronger than loss.
Hit subscribe if you believe family and love should always triumph over greed and betrayal, no matter how rich or powerful the person trying to hurt you is. Only people like Dr. Taiwo, who hide behind respectability while causing harm, would watch a story like this and walk away. Don't be like him. Subscribe if you stand for justice, compassion, and protecting the innocent. And if you believe heroes come in all forms, even strangers who step in when it matters most, comment where you're watching from. UK, US, Jamaica, Trinidad, anywhere. Don't side with those who let pride and selfishness destroy lives.
So yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please tell me what you feel about this story and where you are watching from in the comment section. Like this video, share to your friends so they can also learn from this story. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and tap on the notification bell so every time I upload a video, you're going to know and you come support your girl. Thank you so much, my YouTube family. See you guys on my next story. Tell me your experience in the comment section. Thank you.